play it?
Oh, not yet. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Just getting our audience on board.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Let me see if I can see in my streaming monitor here.
Okay.
How we looking?
Okay.
We'll make sure we got everything going on Facebook. See what's going on.
I see it. Oh, hold on. I gotta turn it off. There we go.
Hold on, I'm gonna share it. Oh wow, look at all that fat showing right there. Let's fix that. Let me sit up straight, cover all that fat up.
Do I share this?
I'm about to share it.
I can't see.
You can't see what?
There we go. But I can't hear.
I don't want to.
Hold on.
You can't hear?
There we go.
All right. Well, let's
We got it. Now, do I share this?
I'm sharing it.
Share.
Are you sharing it?
Hey, Shelly. Hey, Phil.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Robert.
We're about to start in just a second.
Yeah, this is the behind the scenes exclusive.
That's right.
Oh, don't mind my phone. It's just a reminder to pray. We already did that.
Share our page. Here we go. Post. All right. Sharing.
Got it. It's shared.
Are you ready? Oh,
I'm
man,
ready.
I gotta turn. I got all the fat showing. There we go.
So self-conscious.
Nothing makes you want to work out more
Hey,
than
Gerald.
seeing yourself on live stream.
Okay.
All right. We're going to start with our intro, believe it or not.
Okay, hold on. We got it queued up, but somebody didn't have their phone on. Face ID. These smartphones.
They're smarter than us sometimes.
Ready?
Ready. Go ahead. Is it going?
You're listening to the NixMythPodcast,
Real life, no myth.
where we talk about myths and misunderstandings
Surrounding life, race, faith, and culture.
If you'd like to support the NixMythPodcast, rate us on iTunes.
Or you can give through our Patreon.
And don't forget to share this on social media so that all of your friends can know what you're listening to.
All right. We are your host, Nick Smith.
And Kylie Jo Smith, and this is our first live episode.
Numero uno. Many more to come. Lord willing.
We've been waiting so long to say that.
Many more to come.
No.
Many more.
Yes. Many more to come.
Many, lots, and a lot of stuff happening.
It's very anticlimactic to say that now.
Well, not for me. I think it's awesome. Legit.
Anyway, so
our first episode, and since this is real life, no myth, our children are actually in the other room watching Rio at the moment. And so if they come in, we may have some impromptu Kid Smith podcasts going on. First, I want to say thank you to everyone that's watching and everyone that's listening. If you're watching live now, you'll be able to listen to this on Sunday because we're still recording. Yeah. This isn't just for look. I'm actually, recording all this.
Although it does look pretty cool.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It's pretty baller.
Yes. So couple things, because we do want to stay on task, Nick. I know it's a problem that you have.
I tend to go off track. That's all me.
So, first,
number one.
we do have a drawing to do tonight.
That is coming up.
We have a drawing because we had our 1,000th download.
Yes. This
year, and we were hoping to have that by like the end of the year, like starting maybe 2020, having 1,000 people download it.
That would be nice.
But we got that even before then, so we decided to celebrate. And so we have like a surprise giveaway, which part of that, when we wrote that, what it meant was that we didn't know what we were giving away yet.
That's right.
Just complete real life.
Yeah, but then what it turned into is we get to know what it is, but you get to be surprised.
Oh!
So whoever gets drawn tonight, which we have our lucky, what are they, contestants? I don't know what they're called.
They're people.
People. We got folks in this coffee cup here. And this is actually brought to you by Sparrow Specialty Coffee. They're not paying us, but I just want to give them a shout out because they're in Manhattan. If you want some good coffee, Sparrow, that's where you go. And
not just good coffee, like if you want a cool place to sit, if you're waiting for a flight, or there's an airport there.
Yeah, but why would you be all the way in town if you're going to the airport?
I don't know.
Anyway. I'm waiting for a flight. I want to go in town, sit across the street from K-State, and have a cup of coffee. You
might want to do that.
Some people do that.
Or if you need a place to study or wait for someone, you're going on a date. You don't know if it's like the formal kind of date, like it's maybe it's the first date, maybe it's like the third. You're like, let's see how this is going.
This is getting very specific.
I don't know.
On why you would go to Sparrow Coffee.
There's also a donut place nearby, right?
Yes.
Like within walking distance.
Yeah, so check them out.
We know a lot about Manhattan. I don't know.
We've been there like twice. It's crazy.
We didn't go to school there.
No.
But we know.
Wichita State Shockers, what's up?
Woo!
Speaking of swag, we weren't talking about swag, but I said Wichita State Shockers.
Yeah.
We want to thank Ark City Church Nazarene
Yes.
for our swag. Check this out. Boop.
It's
I
pretty
got a
awesome.
hat. And then also I want to thank Plainville Church Nazarene for this baller shirt that I was given.
We were told that it was like individual. What was it? Like
I don't know.
It was designed for you.
Yes.
For Pastor Appreciation Month, which was last month. So if you did not appreciate your pastor last month,
You can always send me stuff. And my Pastor Appreciation Month extends to November. So anybody that wants to send me something, holla at your boy. And also, if you want to appreciate us, you can check out our Patreon and donate so that we can do more awesome stuff.
Yeah, so you may have never heard of what Patreon is, or you may not know. You may hear us talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what is this thing? What is Patreon?
Patreon.
Instantly, I hear the word pay in it, and it makes me not want to listen.
That's weird. I hear Treon, which I don't know what that actually means.
I don't know either. But Patreon is a way for you to support different causes or different businesses or different podcasts.
Like
nudge,
ours.
nudge, wink, wink. And you can do it on a monthly basis. You can do it on a one-time basis. You can say, hey, I want to pledge $3 a month. Or however many. There's different tiers. We sat down and made different tiers.
Yeah.
So you could like be one. I don't even remember what they are now.
I don't remember either.
But they're like really cool titles you can have, and you get to be one of our special people, and you get
also
swag.
get extra stuff. We
Yeah.
plan on doing more live episodes. And if you're one of our Patreon supporters, you're going to see all of our live episodes first before it gets to YouTube or Periscope or any of that. Yeah. And so just something to think about. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, as it were. It's just an old saying. I'm not expecting people to actually
all
smoke.
The Nazarenes listening are very scared now.
I actually don't know anybody that smokes a pipe. Have you ever met anybody that smokes a pipe?
No.
That's kind of like a hipster
thing to do now.
pipes
nowadays different than like a corncob pipe type thing. Like
I don't know.
The old
I
ones
feel
with the thing on the end.
The corncob?
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably some hipsters somewhere smoking corncob pipes.
I'm sure.
As we speak.
Watching this podcast.
Yes. You got to be careful in some circles. You talk about smoking pipes. That has a whole different connotation.
Yeah.
It's like all sorts of drug stuff going on.
We should move past that one. So, but anyway, Patreon is a way for you to support us. Watching and listening is supportive as well. But if you hear us talk about Patreon and you're like, what is that? That's basically what it is. You can go online, patreon.com/NixMythPodcast. It's very
all
simple.
one word. NixMythPodcast.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, we're talking about what everybody's talking about in the entire country right now.
Yeah.
Which is
Jesus. Yes.
Yes. So, I don't know if you guys are keeping up with, if you're watching this, you're on social media. Hopefully, you've seen Jesus has been showing out these past few weeks.
Yeah.
He has been doing some amazing things.
Yeah, so first, we all kind of got hung up on that weird conversation that happened with John MacArthur and that other dude. And so there was like...
John MacArthur and Beth Moore.
No, it was another dude he was talking to about Beth Moore.
I got you. I was like, it didn't have anything to do with the dude. It was Beth Moore.
If it was about a dude, it wouldn't be an issue.
Although I call everybody dude, so that actually fits in.
So there was that. There was kind of like a negative thing, kind of like the church. It was weird. Well, then, you probably heard about Kanye West.
Yes.
Jesus is King, which if you have not listened to that album, you need to go get it.
Well, and here's the thing also, you don't actually have to buy anything. You can stream stuff nowadays. But even if you don't like Kanye West or you don't like rap, you don't like hip-hop, just go to the website and read the lyrics.
Yeah.
Because if you're a believer, there's some really cool, really good stuff in there.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things, and we put it up on our page, was our son Isaiah singing the song about Chick-fil-A, which isn't actually about Chick-fil-A. It's about a relationship, it's about Jesus. But hearing him walk around the house singing Jesus is King and Jesus is Lord is awesome, especially to a song as catchy as what Kanye's done.
Yeah.
One thing I love, and just the brilliance, whether you like Kanye or not, he's really smart when it comes to getting people to talk about him. And one of the brilliant things is the album name, Jesus is King.
I love it.
Like, even atheists have to say, proclaim that Jesus is King when talking about this album.
Yeah, I love when, he appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Just magically appeared.
Yes, really cool. He just, was there. It's crazy what Jesus can do. But no, he was like a surprise guest on Jimmy Kimmel's show.
Yeah.
And like while they're talking about his success and all this, on the screen along the bottom it just says Jesus is King.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's just crazy to see that dope on Jimmy Kimmel's show.
Right, and hearing him say it, it was pretty funny when he was like, "We're talking about Jesus is King,"
which is the name of the album.
He's trying to make sure he's not alienating. Just the name of the album, just so you know.
I'm not making a proclamation. I'm just
Jesus is King.
Stating the facts here. Just stating the facts.
Yeah, no, that's been really awesome. And then we had Lamar Odom, who's a basketball player. Lamar Odom just got saved. Was in the news a few years ago on drug stuff, on prostitution stuff, like. A lot of brokenness and just craziness in his life. And now he is a professing Christian.
Yeah.
And so that's been pretty awesome.
Like, I've seen, and I know a lot of it is because of algorithms and what you click on and what you seem attracted to that pops up on your newsfeed, but I have seen so many things about celebrities. I mean, Chance the Rapper was just on Ellen. Was it recently or was it?
I don't remember.
I don't know how recent it was, but that's popping up now. Like stuff that he has said about Jesus and different celebrities, like it's like Jesus is making headlines,
which is cool,
which is kind of the way it should be, right? We kind of think like he should be the biggest news, but and if you haven't seen too, not that we're plugging all these other shows, but James Corden, who does the carpool karaoke, everybody loves. I love watching that. Well, he does airpool karaoke with Kanye, because Kanye's going to do it big, right?
Yeah, he's got his own plane and stuff.
Yeah, and so he's on this plane with his choir from his church.
Yeah.
And they are worshiping Jesus. And a few times, what's really cool to see is James Corden is actually singing along.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not he's
who knows
legitimately doing it, who cares? He's singing words like hallelujah and you are sovereign and you're Lord. So it's really cool to see that. But just the fact that it's like this not complete shift, but we see this like attention being given to Jesus
in a positive light.
Yeah.
Especially from artists. So coming from artist background, a lot of times any time you're around a bunch of artists and you hear the name of Jesus, it's normally a cuss word. Like you normally hear people saying the Lord's name in vain in that way. And so hearing artists talk about Jesus in a way that I actually saw some Twitter feeds where people who were non-believers were like, hey, I don't even believe in this God, but this Kanye album is fire. And so I'm bumping Jesus is King. And it's really cool. You actually brought up Chance the Rapper earlier, which I think Chance the Rapper is one of those that kind of opened the door in secular music for artists to be just out and Christian. Well, aside from Lecrae. But Lecrae is kind of an anomaly.
Like his album?
I forgot about the name of the album. Anomaly.
That was on purpose.
It actually wasn't. It really wasn't. But he's an anomaly because so many people pigeonhole him as just a Christian hip-hop artist. Yeah. And when he tried to step away from that and be like, no, I just make hip-hop, but I'm a Christian, the music industry was like, yeah, right, you're a Christian hip-hop artist. We're not listening to that nonsense.
Well, in his book, which you should read his book, I've got
the audio version.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean by reading it. Nobody reads anymore. You listen to somebody else read.
That's right.
It's just like elementary school, but without pictures.
Yes.
But anyway, in his story, he talks about how when he won a Grammy or was nominated for a Grammy for like the best Christian hip-hop.
No, I think he just got best hip-hop artist. New hip-hop
No, it was
artist.
Christian because he points out that like he didn't realize that the Christian hip-hop section of the Grammys wasn't like really legitimate to people who were in the secular music industry. It was kind of like, he was really excited about it, but he was like, yeah, I realized not as cool as I thought it was at that time.
Yeah. No,
but now that's kind of changed.
No, he got rap performance in 2015.
But there was something
he did get gospel.
That's what it was, gospel.
He got a gospel and he got a contemporary Christian.
Yeah.
Thank God for Google. The good Lord has hooked us up. But he also, in 2015, he won the Best Rap Performance, which was like the first legitimized Grammy, compared to people just being like, yeah, you're that Christian.
The gospel one. Yeah, the gospel stuff was like, that's not really the coolest thing ever. But.
Yeah. Well, he didn't win the rap performance. He got nominated. But still, getting a Grammy nomination is one more nomination than I have. And so...
Is it really?
It is.
You don't have one yet?
I haven't gotten that yet. So the Academy robs me. That's what it was. They heard the In the Pocket mixtape back in 2010.
Oh my goodness.
and they they weren't feeling it. It's okay. It's okay.
You might have to release some of that.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
My Love?
Yes?
No, the song, My Love.
I thought you were talking to me. I was like, I'm right here. I understand what you said. I'm here. But no, going back, Chance the Rapper kind of opened the door with, when he came out, I don't remember what award. Everyone's okay. Don't worry. Yeah. Something just fell off the wall.
No biggie. It's real life.
No myth at all. And so he won that award show, and he did the song with Kirk Franklin that had the choir, the gospel choir in the background, and had a lot of people talking about Jesus then. Mm-hmm. But then we also had Justin Bieber proclaiming himself as a believer, and he's been kind of on that train for a while now with what was it, Hillsong? Is that the church he's a part of?
I think Stephen Furtick's church. Is that?
No, that's Elevation.
Oh, okay, I don't know.
I thought he was a part of Hillsong, New York. It's weird that we
I don't know what church he goes to.
We can ask him. Hey, Beebs, if you're watching this or listening, let us know what church you go to. All right, bro. We got connections like that.
Yeah.
But all of this stuff has been bringing so many positive headlines to believers. Here's actually something I heard in a sermon from Matt Chandler. He said, if you've ever wanted to have a conversation with someone else about Jesus, now is the time. So this is for you out there. If you've never had the courage to talk to somebody about Jesus, about like, man, how do I actually bridge that gap and say, hey, can we talk about Jesus? Mm-hmm. Here's how you do it. Have you heard Jesus is King? And then you can talk to that person about the fact that Jesus is King. Yeah. You can talk about the lyrics. You can talk about his conversion, Kanye's conversion. You can talk about, did you hear Justin Bieber's doing this, and that? Did you hear about Lamar Odom becoming a believer? Did you hear, like, you have all these references in pop culture now that evangelizing or just proclaiming the name of Jesus, having these spiritual conversations should be easy. I say should be. It's not always.
Well, it's not so much a stretch.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to grasp for the conversation piece because it's in the news. I mean, it's on people's news feeds. It's everywhere. Yeah. They're like, anybody who doesn't have some exposure to social media and who does not know about Jesus is King or any of that.
Yeah.
At this point, you owe it to them as their friend. If you really love them, you will bring it up in some way. Like, hey, and like, honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to like just plug one person's music.
Yeah, it's not just that.
But like, if you just have a sample of it on your phone and play it for them. There's one song that the melody is like constantly in my brain. Like,
which one is that?
Da 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 da.
Sing, just keep doing that for a little while longer. Keep going.
I'm gonna find it.
Actually, if you could just sing for the next few minutes, I think everyone would be okay with that.
I will butcher that one because I don't know it very well. Which one is it?
There's a bunch. Is it God Is? I'm not sure.
Either way, it's just good. And it is only like 11 songs, but it's good. It's just good stuff. So,
so if you need to have a conversation with someone about Jesus, which you do, every believer, this is something we don't do a lot. And as a pastor, I can kind of vouch for this. A lot of times it's seen as the pastor's job to evangelize, to tell people about Jesus.
Yeah.
And so when...
That's what you get paid for.
That's right. That's my only job title. Show up on Sundays and then be on call whenever someone else wants to.
You work one day a week.
That's it. That's all. I mean, ever. That's all I ever work. But a lot of times it's like, man, I want to tell someone about Jesus, but you know what I'm going to do? Instead, I'm going to say, hey, you should come to church. And then when you bring that person to church, you say, hey, pastor, tell them about Jesus. It's like, I don't know them. You know them. Why didn't you tell them about Jesus? I don't have a relationship with them. But you now have a lot of opportunity because Jesus is making headlines.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. Now, there's, while Jesus is making headlines, the church is also making headlines in different ways.
And what are those ways?
Those are bad ways.
So we're kind of on the same trend we're usually on
always
here
have been.
In this country.
Jesus good, humans not so good. That's kind of the general trend of life.
Yes.
But we've had, we talked about the Beth Moore thing. That's been kind of beat. But what came up recently was Kirk Franklin and the Dove Awards.
Okay,
so
yes.
If you don't know what the Dove Awards are, they're like the Christian Grammys, right? And they've got the Dove Awards and the Stellar Awards, and the Stellar Awards are generally for gospel artists, which is kind of a pseudonym for black artists.
Yeah.
And then the Dove Awards is like the white artists or the contemporary Christian artists. And for 2 years, no, this is the second time, I don't think they're 2 consecutive years, but the second time that Kirk Franklin's acceptance speech has been edited because he said something speaking out against injustice.
Yeah, and specifically, so the first time, who was it? Was it Castile?
Yeah.
Fernando Castile had been murdered, and he made a statement about that, and it was edited out. And then this time...
Well, and in that same one, he also commented about the police that were killed in, I believe it was Dallas.
Yeah, because he lives in Texas.
Yeah, he's from Fort Worth.
Yeah, so like this was stuff that was relevant to him in his geographically, I guess.
But just to point out, it wasn't one-sided. He actually asked for prayer for both sides. The people, the officers that were killed, the officer that killed Fernando Castillo and Fernando Castillo's family, just really calling on the church in that moment to come together and unify in prayer.
Yeah, and then this time, so the young woman, if you read
Tatiana.
anything about that, Tatiana was killed while sitting in her home. Police were, was this in Dallas-Fort Worth as well?
It was, yeah.
Were kind of looking in her backyard because they had gotten a call about something. There's a lot of miscommunication about exactly what happened, but she was killed by police. And so he made a statement about that as well, and the community and how the community is grieving, because it wasn't that long ago that, my goodness, I'm spacing on his name, was murdered in his apartment.
Oh, you're talking about Jean.
Brant Jean, who we were calling Brant Jean. Who does that?
Kansans. It's okay. We're okay.
Brant Jean. So anyway, that it's all kind of
Botham Jean.
Botham Jean, yeah.
But Brant was his brother.
Yeah. So all of these emotions are really high surrounding this, and Kirk again makes a statement and is asking for unity and support, and that was edited out of his speech when it was broadcast.
And so what ended up happening was he went to his platform, his community, and said, hey, this isn't the first time this has happened, and not to be a diva, but it's not about my speech, it's about editing out the black experience in the Christian community.
Yeah.
And so he is not going to participate in the Dove Awards, not going to go, not going to bring any music, not going to support them, and he made the statement that this is something I'm doing on my own. I'm not calling anyone else to do it. But artists are stepping up and they're supporting him in that.
Yeah.
And so the interesting thing is that even though the church, because outsiders look at this and they say, wait, so even the church can't figure out reconciliation? But the church has been dealing with racial separation since the beginning. I mean, you can go back and read Acts, and you had the Jewish believers and the Greek believers. They were having issues because they didn't feel like their widows were being treated fairly. And then as you go through the entire history of the gospel being spread, and you have Constantine, taking it into what Rome was, and then you have, later on, centuries later, you've got imperialism carrying with it its culture along with Christianity. And there's a very famous quote by Dr. Martin Luther King that said, Sunday morning is the most segregated. I think he said Sunday at 11 a.m. is the most segregated time in our country. Yeah. And it's still that way, which is crazy. Yeah. 2019, it's still that way.
Yeah. So we classify worship based on how we do it. Yeah. But the how we do it is oftentimes based on our cultural context, our racial identity. Yeah. And I mean, even the way, if you look at even Christian music, you've got black gospel and you've got contemporary Christian. You've got like acoustic or what is more palatable for the masses. You've got like the Hillsong style where it's just like simple congregational, I guess you'd call it congregational style. Yeah. But then you've got like black gospel choir.
Which is also congregational, it's just different.
It is.
Different.
And you've got like the almost Kirk Franklin style where you've got like the person leading it, and then you've got this choir singing the chorus, and then everybody kind of joins in. Even that is different, and it's almost instantly identified based on race.
It is. What's funny though is as a kid, I didn't understand Kirk Franklin was actually writing and composing these songs. So as I was listening to, Stomp or any of these songs, I was like, who is this dude that just
who
keeps
is
talking?
This hype man?
Yeah, like
for the choir.
I don't think Jesus needs a hype man. Like, can we just let them sing? But now I understand he actually wrote the song. He composed it, like did a lot to make that song happen. But no, you're right. It's separated and segregated even in the music we listen to. And what's interesting is bringing that into the light. A lot of times we get the argument of, and by we I mean people who are standing up for more integrated worship services. It even happens on live video. Like, I just can't get my brain is moving faster than my tongue. That's okay. That's what I say.
You're just such a thinker.
I'm just so intellectual. But I see now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Oops.
I would run it back, but we're live, so I can't go back. Anyway, things happen and stuff. Jesus is good. Yeah. So this issue that Kirk Franklin brought up, that's where it was. We're told to stop being so political. We're told to just preach the gospel. But what I think everyone needs to understand is that the gospel should change how you view everything.
Right.
And not to bring it back to Kanye to give him more shine, but in one of his interviews, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, where they asked, "Are you a Christian artist now?"
Yeah, I love his response.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm a Christian everything. Like, everything I do is because I'm a Christian."
Yeah, because, I mean, it is easy to start classifying and qualifying everything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Christian artist. And I would say there's even artists who have classified themselves as that, but their walk and even their talk outside of their business, outside of their art, does not represent Christ.
That's right.
And so, like, to say, I'm a Christian everything, Christian business owner, Christian father, Christian husband, Crispin? What? Crispin Glover?
Saint Crispin's Day. No, Christian everything. And it should. The gospel should permeate every element of our life. And if it doesn't, then I'm not sure what gospel you're following. Because we actually were talking about this at this week's Bible study. Talking about the pearl of great price, the pearl of great value. Not the Mormon book, but the parable that Jesus tells. And like, when you actually get a hold of how good God is, like, it should bring joy to your face. It should change everything. Yeah. And it shouldn't just be like, well, you can be a Christian on Sundays, but don't talk about racial injustice. You can be a Christian. You can read your Bible at home, but don't talk about how we're supposed to free the oppressed. Yeah. Like, let's just not. That's too political. That's not the church's place. When really everything we do should be colored by the gospel. Should be colored by the love that we have for Jesus first, and then for others. Yeah,
I think part of it, at least, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to step on toes, but I think there's a little bit of the interpretation of different styles of worship and ethnic identity in worship that is still rooted in that colonial mindset.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Of like, if you believe in Jesus, you have to worship him the way that I do. Yeah. And you need you don't need to do all that. I remember actually, I've been told, you don't need to do all that stuff with your voice when you're worshiping Jesus, because you're just singing about God.
Yeah, don't do that extra stuff.
I'm like, I need to do that stuff because I'm just singing about God. Like, there's a different understanding, like what one may see as over animated and just way too hype. Yeah. Someone else may see as like, that's the bottom line of where I operate. Like, you don't even know what hyped is. If I'm right here, this is me.
And you don't, like, that's not something new. Like, no. That's been around since churches started doing church. Like, we have like the Puritans, right? The Puritans believe you shouldn't try to show any emotionality during service, because then what that meant was you're pandering. Okay. Like, if I raise my voice at all, or if I emphasize something just a little bit more.
So they didn't have red letter.
No.
They didn't have the red letter Bible yet.
No, they just got up there and they preached as monotone as possible, because what they wanted was, if the Spirit was going to move, they wanted the Spirit to move and not it to be.
But how would they know if it's the Spirit if you're not?
People are crazy.
Confusing.
People are crazy.
Confusing.
People love to look at other people and be like, yeah, that's not real because I said it's not.
Everybody loves to be a hipster.
Yes, that's
not
cool.
Not really cool because I said it's not.
I'm not on board with that, so therefore it's not good. But especially, you had said something about, like, it's not good unless, like, it's not the right worship unless it's the way I do it. I think worship and faith in general is so personal that we identify the way we came to faith with the way of coming to faith.
Right.
It's like, I came to faith this way, so if you come to faith any other way, then I'm suspect. Like, I can't really trust that's real because I don't have that experience. And I think as Christians, we got to do better at not being so divisive.
Yeah.
And we talked about that actually on the last episode.
Yeah, well, and something you just said made me think of what you were talking about earlier with Obama made a speech at some university or something.
Yeah, he gave a talk.
Yeah, and he was talking about how we have to stop thinking of everything so black and white. Now, know that is not saying that there's no right or wrong as far as, like, doctrine and those kinds of things. Like, we're not talking about that.
And we're not going off the deep end here, no.
We're not new age, okay?
Old age.
We're not that either. Right in middle age. We're like, right, not even middle age. No, we're not.
It's okay.
Anyway.
What do you say?
The nuance. I think we've lost the nuance of Christian expression. And I loved hearing that too when we went for your hybrid week at Asbury. They talked about the different expressions of Christianity. Yeah. And there was a statistician, did I say that right?
Yep.
A statistician?
A statistician.
Who, this guy is like a doctor of statistics.
Crazy.
Of just the Christian religion, just looking at all these world cultures, and he was referencing how many different hundreds or what was it, thousands of types of Christian expression in the world. Yeah. Like that's denominations, and that's to say like people who identify as Christians and gather for worship. Yeah. But we look at that. We may look at a small church in Papua New Guinea who at one time were cannibals, who at one time would wouldn't accept any outside anything, who are now worshiping Jesus. Yeah. Some of us might look at that and be like, there's no way. There's just, because they don't have the buildings that we have. They don't have the setup that we have. They don't have the dress that we have. Yeah. They're not ordaining people the same way that they don't have seminaries like we do. Yeah. But that does not disqualify them from crying out to Jesus and from pursuing him with all that they have.
That's right. The gospel transcends culture.
It better.
It does. It transcends and it reclaims culture. Like, the gospel is just beautiful. And it's beautiful to see all this coming to the forefront in culture right now, like in our time. For so long, it seems like we've been going the opposite direction. And I don't think this is like a milestone. Like, now everybody's going to be a Christian artist. But this is such a positive headway that we can make in these conversations with people, where we can talk about having unity, we can talk about, I don't like certain types of music, but you know what? I never really listened to Justin Bieber, but I'm so excited about his salvation. Yeah. I'm so excited about that, and I'm excited about the new relationship he's found in Christ. And instead of seeking for ways to divide and seeking for ways to separate myself from my brother or sister in Christ that looks different or acts different or worships different, I can seek to be compassionate and seek to just be excited about the good that God is doing right now.
Yeah, and the change that it can bring. Yeah. Because one of the things I saw briefly that Kanye had talked about pornography. And he also, even on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he briefly talked about socioeconomics. Yeah. And so the ways that these different artists' conversion can then affect culture, because they can affect it from a different angle than most of us can, with a much broader audience than most of us have. Yeah. And so when you get someone like a Kanye, who's saved and who is now seeing how his salvation affects the different areas of his life, you now have someone who can speak from a place of transformation and experience with these different industries. Amen. And you see those things start to change. And I mean, hopefully their fans as well will start to...
Yeah. I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm so excited for all of the Jesus in the media, the good and the bad, because even the bad helps us to have these conversations where we can talk about the areas where we need to. The live people can still see you coughing. So. I know you're not on the mic, but they can still see you.
I was trying to keep it away from the people who are going to be listening. I don't care about y'all.
That's
all right.
We do care about y'all.
Okay.
But we need to do our not surprise. What is it?
Drawing.
Our surprise.
Our
drawing.
drawing.
Our drawsing. No, don't call it drawsing. That don't sound right.
Okay, I won't call it that.
Yeah. So what you had to do if you didn't get a chance to put your name in the cup is
too late.
It is. It's definitely too late. But in the future, we're gonna do more of these.
Yeah.
And so keep following our Facebook page, our Instagram, our Twitter, whatever, and share stuff as it comes up. Because the more you share, the more you engage, the more you're gonna see when drawings and stuff come up.
Yeah.
And so Kylie Jo, without further ado,
I'm trying. These are really tiny pieces of paper.
if only someone had printed them larger.
I use the default setting. I now regret it.
It's all good. It is okay.
All right. So the winner of the 1,000th download surprise giveaway.
You scared me a little bit. Like 1,000. Like 1,000 what? We ain't got 1,000 nothing.
1,000 high fives.
Okay, we have those.
Okay, I got one. All right, ready?
Just one, right? Who is it?
It is Josh White.
Josh White. Actually, I think Josh White was watching the live stream.
It's a little teeny tiny. You can see it.
Josh, congratulations.
Congratulations, Josh.
We're going to get in touch with you and get an address, and we're going to ship you a surprise box. But we're asking that when you open it, you take a video or a picture or something so that we can share it and let everybody know all the awesome stuff that's in that surprise box.
Yes. And if you could, every little thing will be individually wrapped. If you could individually, I'm just kidding.
We don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we'll get it to you.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching our first episode. Thank you to everybody who's commented. Thank you to those who have shared. Please, if you have not downloaded or subscribed to our app, our podcast.
Threw that in there. I didn't know about that one.
If you haven't subscribed to our podcast through whatever app you use, please do that. NixMythPodcast. And share it, rate it. It helps other people see it if you rate it. And so let people know that we're doing this. We're having these conversations every week. So God bless you. This has been the NixMythPodcast.
We hope you've gotten a dose of real life.
No myth.
Be blessed.
We didn't have the outro.
We did.
Do you want to play the intro again? Correct. All right. God bless y'all.